Hello and welcome to the channel. We are back to our small backyard garden, and this is the month of May 2023. We have a rainy season at the moment, and most of our crops in the backyard are performing quite well, as you can see there. So for the purpose of this video, we are going to dwell on the growing of cucumbers, not cucumbers, sorry, the growing of radishes. You see the cucumbers behind the small garden of radishes is prompting to mention them, but we are going to dwell on the growing of radishes in your small backyard garden. So this section where we have grown the radishes is quite a small segment, but can accommodate a number of the radish plants. So here, as you can see from the video, the radishes are performing quite well, whereby I'll begin by introducing the radishes a little bit, then we'll see the intricate details about their growing. So these radishes, basically they belong to the Brassicaceae family, of which case they are a root vegetable, which is commonly grown in regions that have good loamy soils, whereby majority of the people grow the radishes for a number of reasons. The fundamental reason being the beneficial properties that these radishes actually give on the body, especially with regard to their consumption as either salads or as a daily vegetable. So these radishes actually contain a number of useful metabolites which are beneficial for the body, and these include the antioxidants, for example vitamin C, and also some minerals. So these antioxidants, as we know them, they are the ones which help the body to actually maintain good health by fighting off free radicals. And we know that free radicals can sometimes be naturally generated from the process of metabolism within our cells. So the antioxidants in the radishes help us to fight those free radicals and therefore maintain the good health of our body. Now, these minerals, which are also present within the radishes, also play quite a number of roles within our body to generally enhance the good health within us. So a number of minerals are present within the radishes, of which case all of them play that critical role of ensuring that the body's health is well maintained throughout our life. Now, to grow the radishes, you need very good draining loamy soils, and these loamy soils, it's even better to make them into raised beds so that they soften the area where the radishes are going to actually grow. And the reason as to why the softened soil is preferred is because of that root, which is the plant part that is desired for the radishes. So when you make the raised beds, it means that the roots of the radishes will not struggle to form, and thereafter or therefore they will nicely grow and form very nice big roots, as shown in this video that we have here of our backyard garden. So these loamy soils, if you are unable to raise them into a raised beds, then it can be recommended that you dig up deep into the soil and loosen the soil to the largest extent possible, so that that softened soil can now be a good opportunity for the radishes to grow in good health, as you may see in this our video that we have here. So for this particular small section of the garden, we didn't make raised beds, but instead we dug deep into the soil and loosened the soil so much and that enhances the ability of the radish to grow nicely into those thick and big roots that you're seeing in this our video. Now, to further enhance the growth of this radish, it's usually recommended that you also apply some manure, especially organic manure. So for the case of our garden, we have been applying this chicken manure from this our chicken cage that is present right here just behind the house. So from that chicken cage we collect the chicken manure from there and apply it within our small gardens along this area so that our radishes can get enough nutrients for their optimal growth. So this chicken manure has a number of benefits, including they contain high amounts of nitrogen, and that nitrogen, as you know it's a very big contributor to the general health of the plants, and you can see that the leaves are a testament to that good health of the plants, which we have here on our small section of the radish. Now, assuming that you apply optimal amounts of the manure, then you are likely to get nice plants growing like that with very big leaves, and also that contributes to the general good health of those very nice roots of the radish that we are having in this our garden. So ensure that you optimally apply the manure onto the place where you are planting your radish. Then these radishes, the period of growth usually varies, but generally they can be harvested within 1 month from the time of planting, while some people can actually prefer to harvest them just within 3 weeks from the time of planting. That's because of the fact that the radishes generally are fast growing plants and they mature in a relatively short period of time. Unfortunately, it's not recommended that you leave these radishes to stay in the garden for prolonged periods of time, because of the fact that when you leave them to stay in the garden for prolonged periods of time, then they tend to start to lose some of their good nutritional properties and even their taste. So it suddenly starts changing the longer you leave them to be in the soil for prolonged periods of time. So for that reason, it's usually recommended that you harvest them within a period of about 3 weeks to maximum of about a month. But that also depends on the size of the root that you want the plant to attain before you actually do the harvesting. Now, how about the storage? How about the storage? Because after harvesting the radish, especially if you have many radish from your from your backyard garden, then you may want to store some of them for future usage. Now, in the context of storage, usually it's recommended that you actually cut off the tops of the radish, especially the part where the plant is having the leaves. So you cut off the part of the radish where the leaves are, and then also at the thin root at the base of the radish root. So that thin part of the at the base of the radish root is the part that is just at the end or at the far end of the radish root. You also cut it off after you've harvested the radish, and then after you've done that, then it's also recommended that you then dry them thoroughly before you can potentially store them in a refrigerator. Now, this drying them thoroughly before storage in a refrigerator actually helps to minimize the chances that excess water on the surface of the radish can contribute to the damage or rotting of the radish plant. So it's usually prefer that after you've done that, you've cut off the top of the radish and the small tip at the end, at the bottom of the radish, then you dry the water off, and then you store them using a suitable container within a refrigerator. That helps to preserve them for a longer period of time, for which you may want to use that radish for a future consumption. So then, usually some people prefer to consume this radish in various forms, either in salads, while others may decide to pickle the radishes, in the sense the preparation of pickles of radishes, or radish as an ingredient in the pickles, while others actually prefer to drink the juice of radishes. So when you consume the radish in various forms, especially in the form of juice, this juice of the radish will usually contain several compounds, of which case those compounds have very many benefits on our body, including the benefits of those compounds helping to make the liver maintain its ability to detoxify. And remember, the liver is the principal organ through which our body does detoxification of harmful substances from the body. If you've done some biochemistry, you know that the detoxification of xenobiotics, which are foreign substances in the body, principally occurs in the liver, facilitated by a number of important enzymes present there in the liver. So that ability of the liver to detoxify can be enhanced by this radish if you consume it in the juice of the radish. Then, apart from helping the liver to detoxify, these radishes also have the capacity to actually help the kidney to flush out any toxins that may have been filtered out through the kidney tubules. So that also is a big benefit of consuming radish juice or any other form of radish in your diet. Then, apart from that, this radish juice also helps us to tackle digestive problems and also urinary problems, because of the fact that we have seen that these radishes contain a number of compounds, especially their own metabolites. These compounds have the ability to actually tackle digestive problems if you may be having them, and also any urinary problems that can be resulting from a problem with your kidneys. Then it has also been shown in the literature that radish also contains compounds which help in the reducing of cholesterol levels in the blood. And a reduction of cholesterol levels in the blood is so much desirable for a number of reasons. First of all, from the knowledge of biochemistry, we know that this cholesterol, although it plays a vital role in the cells, especially on the membranes, it also is implicated as a principal cause of heart disease, especially when it accumulates to undesirable levels. So that hypercholesterolemia can actually predispose you to developing heart disease if it's not controlled. And for that reason, when you drink radish juice, it has those compounds that have the capacity to help our body to reduce the levels of cholesterol in our blood. So apart from the benefits of consuming radish, there can also be potential problems with eating radish. And this potential problem with eating radish is majorly with its ability to trigger production of more urine than usual. That implies that this radish contains properties or compounds that have diuretic properties. So when we say a substance is a diuretic, it means that it increases what? The output of urine. So this radish has that potential to increase the output of urine, and that is the diuretic property that we are actually talking about. Now, what is the problem with increasing the output of urine from the body? The problem with increasing the output of urine is that it can potentially lead to excessive loss of water from the body, and that excessive loss of water from the body can subsequently actually lead to dehydration. Now, dehydration is not a desirable occurrence within our body as far as normal health and development is concerned, because we know the important function that water plays in our body, and hence too much loss of that water can be a problem for the body. And for that reason, upon consumption of too much radish, sometimes it has that capacity to cause some sort of dehydration, which is due to excessive loss of water through the urine that had been caused by the diuretic compounds which are present within the radish plants. Now, these properties that we have talked about in this video, when you combine them together, you'll see that the health benefits far outweigh the side effects of consuming radish. And for that reason, it may be recommended that you implement the use of radish seasonally within your diet as you may prefer. Either that may be maybe once in a week, or twice in a week, or thrice in a week, or whichever other regular period that you may prefer to implement the use of radish in your diet, because of the fact that we have seen the several benefits that this our radish gives to the body once they are consumed in the diet. And there is some literature that some people can actually consume the radish leaves, though for majority of the people they don't prefer the leaves. Instead, they prefer just to consume the root, whereby the leaves, when you are consuming them, just like any other leaf, they are prepared just like the way you would prepare the kales. You know kales, the collards, the way you prepare them is almost similar to how some people prepare the leaves from radish for consumption in the meals. The taste may not be similar to the taste of kales, although the leaves also look slightly to some extent like the kales. The taste of the leaves of radish may not be exactly the same as the taste of the kales, but still some people have ways of preparing them so that they enjoy them also in their diet. So when you're growing these radishes, ensure that you minimize the growth of other weeds that can actually potentially compete with your radish for the nutrients present within your soil. And if you have a small space like this one in our backyard garden, then removing or managing the weeds can be an easy work, whereby you just pick off the weeds using your hand so that you control their growth and multiplication, such that only your radish is able to take maximum benefit of the nutrients which are present within your garden. And in that case, if your garden is relatively big sized, maybe a 50 by 100 or a similar or a bigger sized garden, then hand picking the weeds may not be a good alternative. Instead, you may want to use some basic hand tools, like maybe a small hoe or a trowel, in case your rows of radish are relatively close to each other. But generally, whichever method you use, ensure that you actually prevent the multiplication of other weeds from your garden, so that they don't outcompete with the radish for the nutrients which you have ensured that you've maintained in the soil through the application of the organic manure in the form of chicken manure. So I'm going to zoom in on that plant there so that you get to see how nice the plant is growing and how it's enjoying the nutrients in the soil. You can see the leaves there, very healthy indeed, right? All of them have very nice and clean stalks on the leaves, of which case, as I told you earlier, this health of the plants is being maintained by the high amount of chicken manure that we have been applying in this our section of the garden where we have grown our radish. So that implies that you can actually be able to grow radish for your daily consumption or for your home consumption in a small space like this, that is measuring almost 4 feet by 6 feet, almost 4 feet by 6 feet, or maybe the size of a bed, an ordinary bed. The size of that space can be the size of a bed, so that you can have your routine supply of radish from your own backyard. So you may prefer to also do some intercropping with your radishes, but that intercropping may not work very well for you, due to the fact that you've seen that these our radish leaves, their stalks tend to spread so much, and that spread of the stalks ensures that the leaves cover a wide area within the garden as much as possible. So that will mean that if you intercrop the radish with any other crop, especially if the rows of the radish are close to each other, then the other crop that you've intercropped with the radish may not perform very well, because of the shade that is going to be put by the leaves of this our radish. So it's better that if your rows of the radish are relatively close to each other, then don't do intercropping. But if the rows are relatively adequately distanced from each other, then intercropping can actually work for you, such that the shades from the leaves of the radish don't bring about any effect on your other crop that you have actually intercropped with the radish. So with that, I want to encourage you to also practice some little backyard gardening, so that you have your daily supply of the essential vegetables that you may desire in your diet. As you can see, we have other plants here, including the Chinese cabbage somewhere there, and other plants like the cucumbers, which are being supported by that fence there. Thank you.